why are Real Madrid struggling?
They put in some shifts, but Mbappe walks. Mbappe doesn't track back. Mbappe doesn't work hard enough off the ball. And in the end, he's not scoring.
He feels very entitled and that everybody must play for him. At Paris Saint-Germain, he literally lived like king.
When you walk into Real Madrid, all of them are winners. You are not the star.
You look at their direct rival, Barcelona, and the belief they have in young talent. What stops Real Madrid from doing so?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Mallam Go Podcast by Betway. Guys, once again, we are replicating last week. We're starting the show with the two usual suspects running behind. Right now, we've come up with a new rule. If we get here and starting time is here, and you are not here, we will start.
Quick.
We will start. No
Quick.
Time wasting. As usual,
No
three
time
of
for-
us
no
are
time
the
for
most
time.
punctual people. And there's something very unique about us, the punctual people. Achu is not punctual. Last week, Daniel was stuck in traffic until we finished the show. Today, too, he's not here. Coach,
He just
say
got
something.
married. He just got married, so he's finding his way through.
That again, he's
Yeah,
been married for, he celebrated his 1 year anniversary
The point
2 weeks
I'm
ago,
making-
right?
The point I'm making is,
It's still fresh.
we all got married before him.
Yes.
So
What about the one who's not married?
That's
That's
I
why
want.
it's
What
late.
is his
The
excuse?
least said about him, the better.
He's late again.
He's always late. Atu. In fact, you people, when you send the message, you should fire him for being late. Atu.
Chasam.
The inner man. Refer
Oh,
to him
God.
as the inner man.
But God, coach, how have you been? You all right?
Charlie, cool, I've been cool.
Yeah. You were telling me that you have Ransto.
But for the sake of the program, let's do it quick.
Why do you have Ransto? You have a wife. You eat well. How did it?
Easy.
How do you
Your-
arrive
yours-
at?
Your science is a bit low. Don't expose yourself. Me having a
What
wife.
does Ronaldo go through with having a wife?
He eats well. He's not supposed to get Ransto.
No,
Who told you
Rasta is
that?
not about eating well.
What is it? What
Who
is
told you
It's
that?
more complex. It's more complex than that.
it? Okay.
Look, the system, the body system.
I saying that.
after
I
some
saying that the
time-
wife has her own farm that she farms.
No.
She goes to the market.
Yes.
No, but even that.
Do you trust 100% everything you buy from the market?
No. But trust 100% what my wife cooks.
No, it's not about how it tastes to or what you cook.
The
There are some contaminated things that it doesn't matter how well you cook, it's contaminated. But the system also has a way of keeping recycling or cleaning itself.
So this is the system recycling.
It could be,
and
it could be.
is a
Man,
big
Yeah,
yes,
job.
because
yeah.
it isn't that I'm not well. I'm well.
Yeah.
But just I'm experiencing that.
Yeah.
So after some time.
So it might
Don't
not necessarily
worry.
be food.
Me, I'm a kind host. If in the middle of the show your stomach can't you, just give me sign. I'll let you go.
You should have come here with something that could have helped constipate you a little bit.
I don't have
You didn't
colonium.
bring the thing. If you had brought the bread and the pizza, at least that
Oh,
could have helped
relax.
constipate me a bit.
Switch off. How are you?
Child, I'm fine.
You've been good, eh?
Been
You,
good.
you don't have Ransto problems.
Been good.
Listen, guys, before we start, I got this invitation from, what do you see on it? The
The branch club.
Branch Club.
Uh-huh.
Okay. The Branch Club is from our guys at Betway.
Oh.
And they have issued us invitation to the Mallam Go crew. Okay. And everybody gets one. Before I tell you where we are going,
They say, well,
you get the band. Collect. So this one, when you're going for the invitation, when you're going for the program, then you put it around your wrist.
so like that.
Yes, it's your. Oh, you can carry it. It's over. You there? You know how these things are.
Are
Okay.
you trying to say coach?
Coach,
doesn't know
no,
how it
coach
is?
doesn't know what this is.
What are you talking about?
Coach, do you go out?
No, but I
Do
know what
you
they
go
look,
out?
Let me tell you,
Have you gone for a concert before?
where I school.
That's not it. Oh.
Listen,
I'm not saying
Listen.
that. I'm not.
you are
I'm
saying,
not saying-
I don't know what these things
Coach.
are. Is that not what you're
Coach,
saying?
you don't understand. No, let me finish what I'm
Go
saying.
ahead.
I'm not saying that. Like when him be like your eyes
No,
not
no,
open.
no,
I'm
no,
trying
that's
to
not what
say
you
that you don't go out. Have you gone for a concert before?
Look at this man. I don't just go for any concert.
What do you go for?
I go for proper concert.
Like what?
What are you talking about?
When was the last time you went for a concert?
But when was the last time we had a proper concert in Ghana?
Okay, anywhere in the world. When was the last time you went for a
You are
concert?
now talking now.
When was the last time you went for a concert?
The last
I know
time-
that those places, that's where you wear this stuff, right?
And I'm saying that those times, I mean, when was that? I think about 8. No,
In the 80s.
more than 9 years ago. That's when
Oh,
I had
9
a
years
proper-
ago.
Yeah, I had a proper concert.
Where was this?
It was in the US.
Who was playing?
Look at this man. There have never been a proper contest here.
I'm trying to imagine Coach Nimley at a concert and what he's doing there.
What did they do at concerts?
What did they do there?
They dance and sing.
You talk as if you've never seen my boogie before.
But you are talking about dancing and singing. How are you comparing yourself to? How do you think you can be at a concert for
And I
dancing and
cannot
singing?
No, you
and
see,
coach can
You
do
don't know how to dance.
You don't know how to
You
sing.
don't know how to sing.
When I'm
There
there,
you are there.
I'm jumping. Coach says he has.
I am moving
Suave
proper
moves.
steps. though. Proper movement.
That's right.
Look at
First,
this
where
But
is
if,
it?
if you train how to.
Where is this? Where is this going to?
Oh, yeah, I've not finished the conversations.
man. I didn't
on-
want hear cry now.
I was in it. It's happening at. Oh, wait. It's up. I mean, it's happening at Savannah Gardens
Where is that?
Cantonment.
Cantonment. Oh,
It's called Savannah Gardens.
when?
It's on Saturday, 30th November.
This Saturday?
Yes, at 11 a.m. And it's a brunch event. Brunch at 11. You can bring a +1. We are thrilled to invite you to our exclusive event, the Brunch Club Day Party,
Mhm.
a celebration of stylish elegance, good food, and great music.
Wow.
A gathering of trendsetters, tastemakers, and creatives just like you. Please find your event access band herein, which is what I have given you. It allows a +1. Saturday, 30th November, 11 a.m., the Savannah Gardens Cantonments. Dress code. Oh, Numo. Oh, Sicho. Classy, colorful, and fun. Oh, Bibiabi. Oh, shorts. Go green shorts for her. Go blue shorts for her. Oh, they are over. Colorful, no. Sicho. Oh, yes, Christo. Yes. Sicho, I guess some polo shirt be. As you say, my stomach big, and I don't go me. I'll give you. What about my shit, man?
It's a bonnet.
Oh, brother. What a shaman in your fekeke. Never got dressing, never got. Coach,
But
there
your
you. I
stomach
brought
is
you.
big.
I brought you one the last time.
You brought who one the last
I brought you a nice polo shirt the last
I
time.
don't remember.
Coach, there he gets short memory. Oh.
I don't remember.
He knows. He remembers, man.
The guy say no, the guy.
I know the kite.
You the guy.
The one you brought me was the one
It was.
Sicho
It was blue.
gave
No,
to the
I
crew.
get no. Sicho gave yes, and I added one.
You didn't bring your my
So the
my
blue,
daughter,
the blue
my,
black.
my daughter gave it to you for me. Don't do that. No, but don't do that. If
Coach,
I
he's
call
taking
her,
credit away from you.
no.
No, but
He said it's from my
When I
wife.
spoke
it's
to
not
your
from
wife,
me.
did you deliver it or you bought it for him?
He delivered it. He didn't buy it.
so
And the
it's
two
not from
shall
you.
become one.
Look at
One
this
but down.
funny man. You are very funny.
A
And the
gift
two
from
shall
my
be
wife
second
is a
one.
gift from me.
No. It was your wife. When I spoke to her, I told her that get me a Lacoste, and she bought it and gave it to bring it to me.
So we are going to Savannah Gardens, 10 a.m. I
It's
mean, I'll be
11.
there.
Mm.
Colorful and fun. You can bring madam. Give the kids to their auntie. Then
Madam,
you have to
can
do
make
Premier League.
No, madam, come. I could pass through and come back. She's
No,
in
we'll
school.
find a way. We'll find a
She's in school.
Teacher there will be there. With
Oh, yeah,
Karen.
yeah.
Karen will be there.
Sweet.
For there. Sweet Karen.
Sweet baby.
Sweet baby girl will
As
be there.
always.
As always.
As
As
always.
always.
As always.
Always. Okay, listen, today on the podcast, we'll talk Champions League. A lot of you have been complaining that we are not doing reviews a lot. Again, like match reviews, tactical analysis. People are complaining.
The
So-
blasters, useless.
You know,
That
so in a
cost
while,
them.
we haven't really had the time. But today we will. On Wednesday, Real Madrid got embarrassed in the Champions League by Liverpool. Now, ordinarily, Liverpool have not beaten Real Madrid in 15 years. And they have met in the Champions League multiple times since then. But this is the first time they've beaten them in 15 years.
It's in 15 games or in 15 years?
15 years.
The last time they beat them was 2009. That's in
Was
15
it?
years.
Isn't
Is it?
That's 15
That's
years.
15 years.
How bad is your math?
No, that's 15 years. Oh, man.
Yeah. That's 15 years. That's John, was it 2009? Yeah.
Fernando Torres, Steven Gerrard.
That was a big scoreline, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That's 15.
15 years now.
Yeah. I was still in university
Whoa.
at the time. So listen, but it's not just the fact that Liverpool beat them. Because ordinarily, if Liverpool were to win a game against Real Madrid at Anfield,
That
you
should
feel
be
like, sure, Liverpool are in top one and everything. It's just what's happening to Real Madrid this season, especially in the Champions League. In the league phase, they are now 24th. So that's the last position of
That's the last qualification
position of any, because the top 8 would automatically qualify to round of 16, and then 9 to 24 will do a playoff for the remaining 8 teams to join the automatic 8 for the round of 16. Remember, they're occupying just the last position. There are 3 games left. Those 3 matches, Brest, Salzburg, and I think there's another game left.
Yeah.
So those are their matches left. But there are bigger questions that have arisen as a result of this. Why are Real Madrid struggling? Mbappe missed a penalty again. His teammates have jumped to his defense. Jude Bellingham in particular said that the penalty miss is not why they lost the game. But maybe if he scored, it could have changed the mood of the game. Something different could have happened. And the narrative before the match was that without Vinicius Jr., I think you were the one who mentioned it, Mbappe gets to play in his favorite position.
Yeah.
And he was supposed to cook. Couldn't get past Conor Bradley. Yeah. It's not just about the fact that he missed a penalty.
The young boy dealt with him.
That's what I'm saying.
The young man.
He couldn't get past him. So, Sicho, I'll start with you then. Is there a problem with Real Madrid? Mbappe, why is he struggling? He in particular, not just the whole Real Madrid team, but he in particular as well. Why is he struggling?
Look, there are different levels to things in life. And Mbappe throughout his life has played in the French league. He started there, he's been brilliant. Started with Monaco, went on to Paris Saint-Germain. I always thought that Mbappe has stayed way too long in the French league. He's 25 years now, played a lot of his football, in the French league. And now Madrid the step in Madrid is so huge. Like from the French league on to La Liga is
the other game is Atalanta.
So that's a tricky one as well. That's
Atalanta, Salzburg, Brest.
Yeah. So the jump for Mbappe, people think of Mbappe as the World Cup winner. People have said the heir apparent to Messi and Ronaldo, all of that. But when you are moving from a Paris Saint-Germain team that is very likely to dominate every single team in the French league as they do, to then go to Real Madrid, where all eyes are, because in PSG, the whole world is not watching him every week. Nobody really cares about what PSG when they play across the globe. The only time people care about PSG is when they're in Europe and they're playing the Champions League, and he does well. But in Real Madrid, it doesn't matter which game. It's the Copa del Rey, if it's in La Liga, if it's in the Champions League, there's a massive weight of expectation on you because you've come into the club and you are supposed to be the main man. Unfortunately for Kylian Mbappe, though, he came into the club, Real Madrid, at a time where Vinicius Jr. was touted to be the best player in the world. Many people said he should have won the Ballon d'Or. That is how good he was. Now, Mbappe's favorite position is where Vini plays, right? But throughout Mbappe's career, he has been a pampered footballer because they've seen him as a superstar, which he is. Now, he comes into Real Madrid. He doesn't work hard enough off the ball. He only comes to life when the boy is in the final third. And he could do all of that in Paris Saint-Germain. Nobody complains. But when it comes to Real Madrid, if you're not tracking back, if you're not working hard off the ball, and on the end of the ball, you're not scoring as well, there are lots of questions being asked because even the likes of Ronaldo, Gareth Bale, they'll put in their shifts. They are not tracking back as some attackers would do, but they work hard for the team. They put in some shifts, but Mbappe works. Mbappe doesn't track back. Mbappe doesn't work hard enough off the ball, and in the end, he's not scoring. And since he's coming to Real Madrid, he's not playing in the position where he thrives, so he's had to play as a number 9 position that he himself has said publicly that he's not a big fan of playing. Remember his last season last 2 seasons with PSG, he complained all the time that he wasn't ready to be the number 9. And even in the French national team, he said it before, not ready to be the number 9. He's come to Real Madrid and is playing in that position. But the reason why he has to play in there is that there's a better wide player than him at the moment as we speak in Vinicius Jr. Now, Mbappe's situation in Real Madrid would have been better if the Real Madrid team from goalkeeper to Mbappe was playing well so that he can hide behind those shadows and then do well. So if Real Madrid are winning and they are winning well and Mbappe is not scoring plenty goals, it's still going to, protect him in a way. But if Real Madrid are not playing well and they are not winning games as they should win, and they're not doing in the Champions League, then the question is, where is Mbappe?
Yeah.
So that falls down on the Real Madrid team. To be very honest.
Because everything is magnified, like you said.
Absolutely, because the team is not playing well. And to be very honest and to be very fair to Kylian Mbappe and even Carlo Ancelotti and what the Real Madrid are going through, the list they've got as far as injuries are concerned is crazy and it's outrageous. And I also think that Real Madrid, having known that Toni Kroos was going to leave, they didn't plan the summer transfer business well, because there are two key players who left Real Madrid who they didn't replace, who brought different things to the club. And I'm thinking, Kroos is one, and two is Joselu, right? Joselu won't start every game, but he's that weapon that you've got on the bench that when you throw him on, he's asking different questions from what Rodrigo, Vini, or Mbappe would ask. But when Carlo looks to his bench now, and Rodrigo starts, Vini starts, Mbappe starts, who does it bring on? Brahim Diaz, Endrick, who else? Ada Güler. These are good footballers in their own right, but they are not different from those who are starting. And they are not better than those who are starting. Joselu was the best centre forward in Real Madrid the whole of last season. Yeah. Right? So when you need a centre forward and you brought him on, the dynamics of the team changed. They don't have that. And then there's a Toni Kroos factor. I remember I said it here. I think Madrid will miss Toni Kroos, but I know Madrid are going to get a way to move past it. But they've still not been able to. Then, unfortunately, Alaba is not back. Courtois has been on the sideline. Cavaller's out of the season for the season. The two French midfielders, Camavinga, Tchouaméni can't stay fit.
Tchouaméni is out at the moment.
Yeah, Tchouaméni is out. Camavinga is also out now. He's going to go out for some 3 weeks.
Yeah,
3 weeks, 4 weeks ago. Yesterday, he put his hamstring. Like I said, Cavaller's out of the season. Rodrigo is injured. Vinicius now is injured. So the team that had to play together consistently to build rhythm and telepathy with Mbappe, it hasn't worked because it's a new player who has come into a team. You're thinking that it will take time for his connection between Bellingham, Rodrigo, Vinicius to click. But these players are getting injured. Mbappe himself has had his injury issues. The midfield is not the same. So the whole team as a unit hasn't clicked, and Mbappe is suffering for it as well. But when he has the ball, apart from the team not being functional, when Mbappe has the ball and we expect him to do things and make things happen, it's not happening. And that is the worrying thing. We've seen great players who, even in bad teams, when they have the ball, you see that he's doing his bit, but the team is not quite ready. But when you watch Mbappe, it's like the Real Madrid shirt weighs very heavy on him.
You know what I think about that?
Yeah.
The point that you just made. I feel like that is a consequence of the environment he's coming from.
Yeah.
And I think PSG, as much as that was the club that sort of made him in a way, it's also what ruined him. And listen to me.
It's not ruined yet. Maybe it's what's ruining him.
No. It's what ruined him in the sense that, in a certain sense. So I'll explain that sense. Right. In the sense that he feels very entitled and that everybody must play for him. At Paris Saint-Germain, he literally lived like king. And Sicho made that point that he didn't track back. He didn't contribute anything else to the team other than just standing there and everybody playing the ball to him to score. And there was even a point where it was rumored that he had a say in who the club signed.
Yeah.
And even on team selection. So they basically, everything revolved around him. And Sicho makes the point. And you go to an environment like Real Madrid, where you are just another member of a team. I think he's struggling to live with that. Yeah. And it is even similar. That environment at PSG is very similar at the French national team.
Look, I was going to say, and even in the World Cup final against Argentina, Olivier Giroud and Dembele had to suffer. They have to come off because Mbappe wasn't working hard enough. And he couldn't have played Giroud wide. So what Deschamps did was sacrifice Giroud very early in the game in the first half, brought on Kolo Muani, so that Mbappe could go down the middle and Kolo Muani could be wide and they'd be tracking back, right? And he's always had that protection. He's always had that liberty to just be on the end. But you see, and like you said, when you walk into Real Madrid, all of them are winners. You are not the star.
Yeah.
You now have to prove to the already existing winners that you can
why
be
you deserve
part
to be
of
there.
that. Yes. Because you've got nothing on Vinicius Jr. at the club level. Yeah, you had a World Cup winner, that's France. But in Real Madrid, you've got nothing on Rodrigo.
No.
You've got nothing on Vinicius.
You've never won anything with the club.
Bellingham has just walked through the club. He's won the Champions League with them. Fede Valverde, Tchouaméni, Camavinga,
Multiple
Eder
winners.
Militao, Rudiger. Like, these are winners. They've won the Champions League multiple times.
Yeah.
So you've got to go to Real Madrid and prove that you're a part of the squad, not the squad trying to change and revolve around you. The difference between Mbappe coming to Real Madrid now and when Cristiano Ronaldo went to Real Madrid was Real Madrid needed Ronaldo to take them to another level.
Yeah.
Mbappe needs Real Madrid to take him to another level.
True.
And that is why I think he's struggling to
You
get
know,
around.
and the last thing I would just say about that is that ultimately we know that Kylian Mbappe will be judged by the goals he scored at Real Madrid. And I agree, 100% with something that you said about the fact that if Real Madrid were winning, people would not necessarily have been complaining a lot about Kylian Mbappe's form. However, I still think that even if Real Madrid were winning and Mbappe wasn't scoring, it was always going to become a subject of conversation.
Yeah.
Because what's going to happen? Kylian Mbappe, look, last season, Jude Bellingham walks into Real Madrid, scores 19 goals, goes on to win the Champions League. Last season, Vinicius Jr. scores 15 goals, was out for about maybe 40% of the season. If Mbappe at the moment, this season, at the end of the season, does not match any of those numbers or surpass any of those numbers, his first season would be considered a massive flop. There is no other way to paper around it. He needs to be scoring 25 goals to 30 goals this season, or else his first season will be considered a failure. You can't get unveiled in front of 70,000 fans and be earning the amount of money that you're earning and have the same aura around you, similar to the aura that brought Cristiano Ronaldo to the club, and be putting out these numbers. In the last 8 matches, he scored 1 goal.
Fine.
It's just not good enough.
I have been looking at it.
And then you get penalties too on top of that. It's like the team is doing its best to make you score. But the penalty, it was a poor penalty.
Did you see the assist from Vinicius? From Coach Cam, did you see the pass Vinicius
Gave
gave
him over
him?
the weekend.
It was like he was helping Mbappe break
That's
that
what I'm saying.
drought.
You can see that they're
He had
trying
not
to help
scored
him.
for eight games and he was setting him up. Like Vinicius could have scored.
Yeah.
But he teed him up to
So
to
fine.
break that.
I've been thinking through the situation. You remember where he was going?
Yeah.
We were all saying that where exactly
Would he play?
would he play? And tactically, we all agree.
Oh, Chasan, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Sorry, we said you were late. The man dealt with you.
No,
He
I
said you
didn't
don't
want
have
to-
a wife and you're always late. He said last week you were late. This week you are late. We'll continue.
Those are factual statements. The fact of the matter is, we were all thinking through where exactly would he fit in this Real Madrid team.
Yeah.
I was of the view, you remember, that he was not going to dislodge.
Vinicius.
Yeah, absolutely no.
And I said, even Rodrigo, in my view, is
On the
most
right-hand side.
important player in that Real Madrid attacking third. So whether he likes it or not, he will have to play through the middle.
Yeah.
And that is where he's been deployed to play. Truth be told, he's been poor.
He has been.
Yes, Real Madrid as a team, they've not been playing at the level we all know them to play.
But he himself has been.
But he's been getting chances to announce his
There's also that.
problem.
There's also that. In fact, what was the Champions League game they played before this one?
The AC Milan.
AC Milan.
Oh my God.
Count the number of chances it got. When
Sitters.
Barcelona gave them
Sitters.
Ayoko. You remember Barcelona gave them Ayoko?
Even the Barca game.
Look at the number of chances. Even for somebody who is so good at playing from the wings, look at the number of times you were caught in an offside position. That is very, very bad for a player of that caliber. So you may want to say the team is not playing
And
well
make excuses.
and make excuses. But look at his all-round contribution to the team. Sicho made a brilliant point when he said, it's like, you see, when things are not going well for you, you don't wait for the ball.
You have to force the situation.
You have to get involved. Look, if he's not scoring and he's the one on being part of the build-up, receiving and doing the
winning fouls.
giving the assists, and people are scoring, we look and say, okay, it's just a matter of time. He will start putting the ball in the back of the net. You want to see him as a team player, that aura of being the superstar.
That's it.
If his
earn
advisors
it.
are smart enough, they would have told him that, look, here is not PSG.
Here you
This
must
is-
earn it
this-
first.
You must earn the right. Go ask Cristiano
This is the
Ronaldo.
Los Blancos.
That's it. Go ask Cristiano Ronaldo in his very first season. He did so well, but that didn't establish him. When Raul and Cole left and he took over that number 7 shirt, that was when the man took off to the next level. Okay? I look at the manager.
But
I
even that first season, Ronaldo, before Raul Dems left, you could still see.
that he was
I don't know.
building.
I don't know.
Oh, yes. R9 was still,
he
that's what I'm
was
saying.
still-
He was still phenomenal.
He was. So I look at the manager, and we're also very confident that if there's any manager in the world who can bring the best.
Yeah,
out
he
of
faced
him,
that question a lot. And he
Exactly.
answered it a
Yeah,
lot.
yeah,
He says, leave it to me.
leave it to me. Also.
In fact, over the weekend before this game, he was fighting with a journalist about the number of games he's managed.
That's right.
He says he's managed over 1,000 games. He's made over 4,000 substitutions.
That's right.
Nobody in this room can ask him how and tell him how to do substitutions.
There you go.
He said it.
You told them.
It's a journalist who was questioning
Now, you see,
him
when
about
it comes to that,
And that is an
They-
out of character comment from Carlo.
It is.
He's
Exactly.
beginning to feel it a little
Yeah.
bit. He's
He's
beginning to
feeling
feel the
the heat a
pressure.
little bit.
Yeah.
because look, you don't assemble these types of players and play the sort of football they are playing. I don't buy in the idea that this person is injured. No, if you cannot use injury as an excuse for one person, you cannot use injury as an excuse for a team like Real Madrid. Nobody should accept that because their players are injured. That is what they are. They are supposed to be what? The best in class. So if the best in class,
from player number 1 to number 23,
I'm telling you,
not 1 to 11
no,
alone.
no.
Yeah.
Nobody should accept that. They're supposed to be the very best in class. So I don't, you see, you look at their direct rival, Barcelona,
Mhm.
and the belief they have in young talent. What stops Real Madrid from doing so?
They even have the youngsters. Why aren't they performing?
Why are they not encouraging those youngsters to take up the mantle? So these are things that Real Madrid as a home or Real Madrid as a team will have to begin to look at. Yes, you've got the money. Yes, you want to flex your muscles financially in the transfer market. But that academy, you should be able to go back to that academy. The academy that produced the likes of is it Llorente,
Raul.
Raul
Yeah.
Gonzalez,
Even Caballero. Morata.
Guti and Co.
No. As a matter of fact, Real Madrid's academy, they've served La Liga more players than La Masia would. So when you go to every club
Yeah.
in La Liga, Real Madrid
They
have got
simply
players.
They just can't
Real
break
Madrid,
through.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
their level
Yeah,
is
So
not
Real
to break
Madrid's
through, but
academy is very similar to
so
what
prolific.
Chelsea had
Yes,
Yes.
so
Yes.
prolific
at
in La
Coban,
Liga.
where you see a lot of Coban graduates everywhere but Chelsea.
But you don't want to see that.
Yeah.
You don't want to encourage that. It's a good thing to do. But keep the very best.
Your man Mbappe, coach,
Look,
he can't even beat
I'm-
1v1 now.
I'm coming to that. So maybe I was asking myself, should he have made that move? Was Real
I
Madrid
think
the
he's
place
there for a
him?
long time. We're just
coming.
talking about this season. He could come good next
And
season.
so you see, a player like Mbappe doesn't deserve time.
I mean, that's a fair point.
He doesn't deserve.
You know why Rosemary
wait
say,
for-
let's give him time. You must deliver
What?
the moment you
well,
walk in.
Anthony's have we not give him time. now,
Mbappe. Even Anthony was not. given
Anthony
the
was
time.
not given
This one, they
time,
agree
Mbappe.
with you. A player like Mbappe, you don't
doesn't
need time.
deserve time.
You don't
have
need
to do what? We should wait for him.
You don't need time.
He hits the ground running from start to finish. That is what is demanded. It's not a requirement, it's a demand. And the aura with which he comes, look, I don't think there's any player in the world today that Real Madrid will unveil to have close to 90,000 people at the Bernabeu just trying to welcome him to the club. So all these things put together clearly makes it clear that he doesn't deserve any time. What I have not been happy with is his. I thought that, look, he should be able to handle whatever pressure that comes his way.
Right, there's
Because
that.
he's so big a player.
He's a World Cup
that
winner.
He's a World Cup winner. He captained the French national team. He's the captain of the French national team.
Is it also because maybe then, now that he's gone to Spain, no, in France, even the press and the media deliberately protected Mbappe. It was a national project, right?
Yeah, but nobody
the next French Ballon d'Or. So
Yeah.
in France, in French League 1, he is.
There
Nobody
was a
even talks about,
deliberate.
nobody even talks about the fact that he doesn't work so hard of the ball. Everybody's talking about what he does with it. Nobody talks about the fact that he's made himself king. He's not a team player. And even as the French captain, there were controversies about why it should be him, but they silenced it
Yeah,
deliberately
because
because national
You
project.
see, I
But it was
remember,
Griezmann.
I
there was-
remember Vinicius came to Real Madrid at a time where nobody knew.
No. He was
So
a
he
youngster.
deserved time.
Yeah.
This man had come at a time where we all see him.
Now he doesn't have the media protection in
We
Spain.
all see him to be the next big thing.
Yeah.
After Messi and Ronaldo, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's what he was touted to be.
Yeah.
This is the man to take over.
This was his era, really. Like, this is what people have
I
said.
have a
like,
question. Do you think that maybe we're a bit too harsh?
Absolutely
No.
not.
I mean, he's Real Madrid's second highest scorer this season.
Absolutely not.
He's got 9 goals in 17. He's only Vinicius has scored more than him in the team.
He should be scoring more than Vinicius. He's the one playing.
Yes, fair enough. But I'm saying that if you still put it,
He
in
should be
perspective-
dribbling past people like we are used to seeing him do. Isn't
No,
it?
but Coach,
So that's what I'm saying.
look,
But he's still the
yesterday,
team's second top scorer.
If we're to go back to that game against Liverpool, I've saw clips of that young man giving him
Conor Bradley.
a solid slide. Solid sliding tackle.
You said the tackle is called what?
He felt the sensation in his spine.
That kid does not respect
At all.
Conor Bradley.
He's a very
As a Chelsea fan, I would know.
In fact, you know how they describe that? I'm a nkwanako. You know that?
able to engage.
You couldn't get past the boy.
No, but that move alone was one clear example of a struggling Mbappe in terms of confidence.
Yeah.
But there was no way in a million years Mbappe should still have gone in that direction.
Yeah, he was
saw the defender committing
heading,
himself.
coming and he's heading towards the
Yes,
defender.
and you have got more pace on him and he's committing himself. I thought Mbappe was going to push the ball, and even if the tackle was going to come, it's a foul on Mbappe.
Yeah.
But that was a struggling Mbappe.
Look, yeah.
Lots of things to do with the ball. doesn't
There
make sense.
are certain things.
Just before you come here,
Yeah, of
let me
course.
just conclude.
Okay.
You see, Carlo Ancelotti himself, I think some of his, who am I to question?
Of course. He said he's done
who
over
am I to
4,000
question?
substitutions, so you can't tell him what to do.
Yesterday, maybe
But you are questioning. Okay, you said
I failed. I can do better than
Hey, coach, it's okay. Hey, it's
Voila. What are you talking about?
Don't mind Sichu.
Me.
Oh, God.
Go and ask Osekre, he will tell you.
Yeah,
Me,
God.
I have decided that I won't coach
Oh,
in Ghana.
Mr. Joe, why have you done this?
Coach, I'm sorry.
He's
Let's talk about
digressing.
Kalu.
I'm
Coach,
sorry.
let's talk about
Please,
Kalu.
please.
So you see, don't bring Otto again. You should have been sacked. Whether Ketokweku likes it or not, he will sack Otto
God.
Addo.
Let's get back to Real Madrid.
So if you look at Carlo Ancelotti, look, yesterday I watched the game and watched. Real Madrid went to Anfield as if they were afraid of Liverpool. That is not real. You saw the tactics the man employed. They sat very deep and they were playing on the counter. See, when you do that at Anfield and Liverpool are enjoying a chunk of possession, the supporters have their way of bringing the best out of these players.
And the loudspeakers they use.
Yes. They have the, and I was asking myself, if you've got Mbappe, you've got Kamavinga, you've got Modric, you've got the boy from Turkey. That boy, I think, is a very good player.
I don't agree. He's a very good player. He's very
I
talented.
disagree with the substitution.
Mm.
I don't think, you see, there was this ball in the first half, that whether the boy was crossing or shooting.
I think it was Kylian, but he
And
didn't get
Carlo
the angle.
Ancelotti responded. Just after that, Ancelotti went and said, come on, he will change the ball. If Modric had done that, he would have kept him. That is what a Barcelona coach wouldn't do.
Yesterday,
Yeah.
Acknowledge.
yesterday he made 2 of those moves.
Yes.
Ferland Mendy, immediately
Mendy.
after the penalty.
Come on, get
Yeah.
him.
Yeah.
You pull him up. But you don't do that.
Vela
Maybe
is not the
Mendy,
first
yes.
time.
Yeah.
It's like
With
his
all his
belief in him
experience.
is waning.
Yeah. Maybe
But I thought that
Mendy,
one was
yes.
fair because Mendy got a yellow card for the tackle. And if Mo
Yes.
Salah is on your neck,
Maybe.
don't want to.
But for the other, look, since the moment he took the ball out of the game, I think they lost something going. They lost that car. And he took the ball off, he took Luka Modric or he brought in Ceballos. That's the name?
Yeah,
Ceballos
Ceballos.
he came and spent one season
Because
alone at Arsenal.
Zuko Niai. Ceballos. Is that the name?
Yes,
Ceballos.
yes.
He's not a good player. He turns unnecessary. He's not progressive.
Yeah.
And yesterday, another player who had a
He's the
stink
one
out of
who
the
went
game
to the
was
national.
Valverde.
Yeah.
I look at Valverde and I said, why is he looking so ordinary?
Is it also because he played
Is it that the coach?
played at a right back for so long?
Yes.
This season
He was
he's-
exhausted because I think when he go into midfield, he was exhausted.
Yes,
but
Because
this
he had
season,
to
even in
track-
games,
he had to track
You're right.
Luis
You're right.
so-
He has back and
yeah, so
forth.
when
so
he
this
goes
season,
into
even in games where he started in midfield,
I mean,
he's
he's not being that person.
he's not being himself.
So, you see, look, Angelo, and then I think he need to redefine the Bellingham role, especially in these times of injury situation. Bellingham could have just played as a very good number 8 defensive alongside Kamavinga.
Hey, coach, I never understand why coaches are forcing to make Bellingham like some super number 10.
No, he's not a number 10.
Bro, Bellingham is he's a boo. Like we used to call ACL a boo. He was a Bellingham.
He's a good number 8.
Oh, bro,
He's a solid number 8.
That's him. Box to box. That's
Maybe
just him.
You
I've said it before. Didn't we? We had this argument about whether he had better skill than Lampard.
Look,
and you were picking his side.
No,
We're saying that he just doesn't have the skill set to be a number 10.
look,
that is
I
it.
would play Adagula number 10, play Bellingham 8, put him around.
He's a
That's
very
what
good
I would have done.
Cobra, go and
Well, rather it was. I was looking at Ancelotti. I was like,
Yeah.
no more view. What is it doing? So Liverpool felt very comfortable because once Mbappe, who was at the front, could not trigger the press in the decent way, it meant that Bellingham, who was right behind, will always be bypassed. So Bellingham, instead of doing this, was always chasing the ball when McAllister and Curtis Jones, they were just
around him.
Curtis Jones. I trained for 2 weeks and I'm on form. I deal with Curtis Jones. Why? You didn't see my playing days.
Coach, you can do it.
The point I'm making is that if Curtis Jones is dominating the midfield against Real Madrid,
The structure was
it's
wrong.
a problem. It's a structural problem.
It's a big problem.
Very, very big problem. So for me, look.
What has to happen now? Obviously, you can't say sack Ancelotti.
No, you don't.
It's not that bad.
No, you don't sack him. They are second in the La Liga.
They are second in the league.
They've got a game in hand.
The fact of the matter is that when it comes to the Champions League,
The playoff, they will
they
make
should not
it.
be where they are.
Yes.
But you don't rule them out because they are the kings of that competition.
And they don't need to automatically qualify.
They can
And
go
I
through a
think
playoff
automatic qualification
and come
is
and
out
whip
of the equation
everybody.
for them
They'll
right
win
now.
the
If they get the 9 points, it's possible.
You understand? They can go through a playoff, come back. They don't care who they face.
Yeah.
They'll whip everybody.
Anybody, including the ones in those automatic slots,
When they
will
meet
be
Real
afraid
Madrid, they will be afraid.
of Real
Everybody
Madrid.
want to dodge them. But what Ancelotti, I think he needs to do, he's an Italian manager, very smart. He's proven that. Go back, look at the players you've got, and set them up in a way that will make them comfortable. Until the rest comes back, then you can do what you want to do. And he's too smart a manager not to know that. I think the Bellingham number 10 nonsense will have to stop. Bring him back. Maybe now that Camavinga is gone, maybe Bellingham Valverde.
That would be some
And
solid.
then put the Adagula boy. That boy, we all see when he plays for the national
At the
team.
Euros, yeah.
He's a
Even
brilliant-
last season. For
Last
Madrid.
season, he's a brilliant boy when he's given the license to go. He sees the pass. The pass that Bellingham won't see, that boy will see.
Interesting.
That defense splitting in between defenders,
Yeah.
looking one way, giving the pass. That is what he sees. And I like the Moroccan boy.
Brahim Diaz.
But he should be asked
Wide.
to go wide.
But
And
now that
come
Rodrigo is not there, maybe Mbappe,
Yeah.
Brahim Diaz.
And then,
something.
you see, something should be done. But if he's going to repeat this, look, I think that if he doesn't take it, by the time these guys come back from injury,
Damage would have been done.
the damage will be
Yeah.
on
Fair point. Actually, you have something to add there. I want us to talk about your friend Pep Guardiola. as
Oh,
well.
we'll talk about him. But you see, there are some things that do not thrive in certain environments. Real Madrid, laziness doesn't agree with the spirit of the club.
Mm.
Of course.
That is why, if you go through their history, they had at certain points some superstars that were supposed to make it big.
And they didn't.
And it's not just that. Remember Nicolas Anelka.
Of course.
Remember Eden Hazard. Good. Hazard would be.
Another
Hazard
good
would be.
example.
This idea
Talent
that
alone is not enough for Real. That's what you're saying.
Even more recently, before Eden Hazard, they could add Gary Bale to it after
This-
the end of his
yeah.
career at Real Madrid.
this idea that you are a prima donna who the team needs to play for you, it doesn't exist at Real Madrid. And here's the thing.
Ronaldo was a hard worker.
yeah.
I'll come to the Cristiano bit because there's something that happened to him in the 2014-15 season, which is 6 years after his Madrid debut, when he was a bona fide superstar, a bona fide Real Madrid legend by that time, and an icon of the club. He was still booed in a game, in a La Liga match of no real consequence.
For Madrid fans, they boo everybody.
They booed Cristiano
Raúl have them boo him before.
at halftime, and then he scored a hat-trick in that same game, and they cheered him.
Right.
That incident should tell you what the club is all about. They have zero tolerance for incompetence. The only language they understand is excellence. That is why you can say that, oh, teams are improving, everyone is catching up, tactics are evolving, but still, Real Madrid remains number one. So in the era where people say tactics is coaching is almost peaking, we've seen Pep Guardiola and all of these new school coaches, it is the period Real Madrid have actually won more Champions League titles than they've done in the modern era.
Yeah.
That is how they play. And at that club, laziness, it doesn't exist. It doesn't work there. No matter the talents that you have, if you don't put in the efforts, forget it. It is one of the reasons why Eden Hazard did not cut it at Real Madrid. Yesterday, there were moments where you expected that Mbappe will come up short and demand the ball. Okay. Right? There were moments where you expected that in the second half, he lost possession in one of those counter breaks just before the penalty.
Yeah.
Before the Mohamed Salah penalty.
He lost
He lost possession and he was walking.
He was walking.
No, in fact, Liverpool's first chance, the one that Nunez struck and then Courtois went, Asensio almost got an own goal.
Exactly.
It was like a physical action by Mbappe. He was held into the Mohamed Salah was the one who pinged the ball off him and Liverpool were off to go and score.
Yeah.
So this idea that he only comes alive when they bring the ball up to him, which is about 70, 80 meters into the game, right? Like 70, 80 meters into the game. It is actually counterproductive because if you want to say you are reserving energy, by the time the ball gets to you, because you've not had enough touches, you've not made enough short sprints, you've been involved in the game, you won't have the sharpness and the match rhythm. So you'd realize that every time he gets the ball, and he knows it, because he knows that he's not in sync with the game, he has to take a touch or two.
That annoys me a lot.
To steady him.
He loses possession.
You see, he has to take a touch or two to steady himself, which against any other team, it will not be a problem. But if you watch the way Liverpool set up, every time Conor Bradley went close, Konate went with him. Mm-hmm. So by the time you take the second and the third touch, that angle has been closed by Conor Bradley. There's an extra layer of defense. Mbappe raises his head, he sees it, and then he's forced to make a safe pass.
Yeah.
Or he tries to get past him, and because Conor Bradley knows that there's someone behind him, he's not afraid to take the risk of sticking in the foot.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it is self-conservation, whatever it is actually counterproductive. And I don't know if this point has been made by either Sisho or Chris, but he needs to get involved more in the game.
Yeah,
right? Come up short, combine with his teammates. And it doesn't always need to be a dribble or running at place. But just get a feel, just get a feel of the game and be involved.
He looks too isolated most of the time.
And it doesn't help him. So yesterday, there were about 2 through passes that Jude Bellingham played. If Mbappe had been sharp enough, if he had that alertness, he would have gotten onto the end of those passes. Because when he missed those passes, the nearest Liverpool player, be it twice Van Dijk and once Konate, had to take about a 5-yard sprint before getting to the ball. Which just goes to tell you that if Mbappe's starting position is right, he gets past them and picks up the ball.
Exactly.
But because he's behind play, he's not getting involved enough, all of these things are going against him. And for me, I don't think anyone can make excuses for him. At this point, I would agree with what the French journalist Julien Laurent said a few weeks ago, that part of the issue is that Mbappe's people say he has psychological issues.
And what's causing that potential?
Maybe he's putting himself under so much pressure. And I wasn't comfortable with this whole idea of trying to mimic what Cristiano did in his unveiling.
No. So actually, the Mbappe has personal issues. I was going to talk about his off the field issues.
Complex.
The allegations against him, sexual allegations against Kylian Mbappe that they are working on behind us. He went on a vacation and
when those like dismissed or something.
Well, you're going. No, you should go with your legal.
There are still issues that, and that is why it's actually the French national team. They agreed
didn't call him.
They agreed that he takes the time that he needs. Also settle in Real Madrid. So he has some things going on behind the scenes, and people who got close to him since he got to Spain were surprised that even Mbappe himself doesn't have a personal trainer aside Real Madrid. No. So when you look at Vinicius Junior, he has a gym worth $1.2 million. In fact, Camavinga, Rodrigo, Militao, and some of the Madrid boys go to his place during off-season to train with him because he's invested that in himself. But the reports are that Mbappe doesn't necessarily invest much into his personal.
Cristiano Ronaldo is his role model.
Yeah, that's something should be.
Mimic Ronaldo.
So there is that as well. So now that the levels have gone up,
it's not just unos dos tres a la Madrid.
Because
go and mimic
La Liga is physical. La Liga is fast. You've got better teams. better quality, the pressure you've got to deal with, maybe the off the pitch issues. So I think, look, he's talented, but he has to do a lot more.
No, he has to.
Yeah.
He has to. And for me, the final point on Ancelotti is this. I think he's complicating what was already a problematic situation. I said it here when Madrid missed out on Lenny Euro, that we will talk about their stubbornness in reinforcing that defense. Because they've tried to put Aurelien Tchouameni there. Now Tchouameni is injured. Yeah. And so Raul Asensio yesterday looked good. But this is not what the situation that you envisage when you're thinking about
he's to be fair to him, he's looked good since his debut. It's his third start, and it's been.
But there's problem too with Rudiger.
No, he has. But I'm just saying that ideally,
you are about to go there again.
I'm just saying that ideally,
yes,
when you're thinking about that plan to introduce the young boy into the team, it will not include forcing him into all of these high-profile games.
But if they ball Lenny Euro, that's what would have been damaged. Lenny Euro is no experience.
But Lenny Euro has 2 elite seasons under his belt.
I don't think he's a better defender than Asensio.
I'm just saying that he's 18.
The reason so
what you're saying is he's played
more comfortable, yes, at this level.
Also, the reason I'm not always a big fan of all this could have, should have side. It's like Man U got him to solve a certain problem.
The boy won't play until December.
Not Lenny Euro.
That's the issue.
Not Lenny Euro.
That's what I was just about to say. Yeah, Madrid could have gotten him.
Not him.
No, it's for injury.
The point is not about Lenny Euro.
You can't plan with him.
The point is not even about Lenny Euro specifically. They needed bodies there. Okay. They needed a right back. This idea that we should suffer now in the next season, maybe you bring him. What stopped Madrid from maybe getting someone who will be a squad rotation player who in this event could have been the right back that you play?
And then you get the best out of.
Yes. Unfortunately for them, because they didn't make that decision, you have been forced to, and not just that, they needed reinforcement in central midfield areas. One of the problems they had in the Clásico was this idea that Bellingham now needed to go and play as a right side of midfielder. And the one moment where he could not track Balde whipped in that cross for the second that Barcelona scored. So he is being forced to, a lot of the adjustments Ancelotti is making is because they don't have the specific profiles that they need. Otherwise, Bellingham should not be playing as a right-sided midfielder. He should not be playing as a number 10.
At all.
Valverde should not be playing as a right back, right, in this game. I agree with Chris when he says that he has to revert to type and play. Bellingham made his name as a central midfielder. The last season, what we saw was because the club needed someone to step up and assume responsibility.
And arrive in the
box. And he decided that, okay, when Ancelotti asked him, he took it upon himself and excelled at it. It does not automatically mean that he can do that every season, right? Also, the base for him to go forward and do what he was doing last season was completely different. It was there. Mm-hmm. They had a bit of solidity. This time around, they don't, right? And if you look at I was looking at one of the stats from the game against AC Milan. And again, back to the Mbappe issue. Bellingham made 5 late sprints into the box, right? Final third sprints, let me put it that way. Whilst Kylian Mbappe made 9. If your central midfielder is coming from deep to make nearly half, in fact, more than half the number of late runs your center forward is supposed to be making, that is problematic.
Yeah.
Right.
But do you think that is not also an issue of instruction? Because I think who was it? I think it was Thierry Henry.
Yeah.
Who was pointing out exactly the point you're just making about Jude Bellingham consistently being the one making those runs. And he says, this doesn't look accidental to him.
Let me answer
every time Real Madrid have the ball,
let me answer the
it's
question.
Jude Bellingham and not
who's
making the runs. And that's why he made as many runs as you are.
Let me answer with a question.
So
if you are Carlo Ancelotti,
but the balls were not coming.
Yeah. No, they weren't. But
so
he made all those runs.
So then why was he making the run? Was he supposed to make those
let me answer with
that awareness of the other?
Assuming that the plan was that someone has to put those crosses, be it pass line breakers, into those zones that Bellingham was making. Mm-hmm. Assuming that was the plan and the instruction Ancelotti gave. If you're looking for someone to find himself at the end of those crosses or passes, whatever it is, between Mbappe and Bellingham, who's your best bet?
On paper, you see Mbappe, but Bellingham has proved that. That's what I'm saying.
I'm saying that at the beginning of the season, when you're making that plan, like when Mbappe first arrived.
No, but put in
because it wasn't just that
the game
against Milan.
It's
not every game. It's one game.
And even Thierry Henry, when he was making that point.
Yeah.
Okay, from my viewpoint, I thought he was suggesting that Mbappe wasn't making the runs and it was Bellingham who was doing it. Mbappe
No, he
wasn't
was
doing
suggesting that
Mbappe
it's not
needed
acci-
to make
well.
more
No,
of
he was
those runs.
suggesting that it was Mbappe who was supposed to have been doing what Bellingham was doing.
that's what I'm saying. And
But I thought Thierry Henry got it wrong. It's my view.
Mhm.
Because it was a clear instruction.
He
What-
did point that out.
Yeah, it was
He
a
said
clear
he thinks
instruction.
It's an instruction
So that's
because
what
it's
was
not
happening
possible
was-
that
Look,
Bellingham would make that
Mbappe-
many.
That's
Look.
what I'm coming to answer that. If it is an instruction, it is as a consequence of the current state of Mbappe.
No,
Yeah,
not
no,
necessarily.
that could
That
be a
is
fair
also
point.
that is also the-
Because
I
at the
think-
beginning of the season, your plan would always be that he is the guy.
No, actually, no. And this is a different tactic.
Yeah.
Mbappe always started as the front man on central defenders. What Mbappe would do if the midfield got the ball was to pull away. In pulling away, he always took one centre back with him,
Opened
which
up for
allowed Bellingham to make
Bellingham.
those runs. Those were tactics. And the reason also is because when Mbappe makes those runs on the shoulders of the defenders, most often than not this season, he's run offside. We saw him in the Madrid
Yeah.
game. We saw him even
The Barca
yesterday
game.
in Barca game. We saw him even yesterday, even the game against Leganes. And so when Bellingham is coming from deep, coach, and you know that when somebody is running from deep, the
it's
tendency
rare
of the
for
person-
him to be offside.
It's rare.
Mm.
So it was tactics, but they couldn't find the right passes
to
for
get to
Bellingham.
him.
But
Yeah.
even that, in the Mbappe pulling the defender the way, you can pull and check back. Pretend as if you are going.
And then you check back.
No, but if the instruction is, you see, when okay, so if
Because it's a cross. So when you pull away, you move towards
no,
the
it's not necessarily a cross from wide area. Sometimes
No,
they
some
are
of them
taking
are
for
supposed to
the
be passes from
Look,
deep. That never came.
even if it's a diagonal,
Yeah.
you pull away. Look, go and watch Edison Cavani.
No, but coach, if the instruction
No,
from
what
the
he's
coach,
saying that
so what
when
I'm saying
he
is,
pulls away, Bellingham immediately occupies
so
that place.
it was a synchronization
I
between the
understand.
team. Yes.
I understand that point perfectly. But what I'm saying is that when you
He could
pull
have been
them away,
more dynamic about it.
as the main man, as the one in charge of all of the system, he's the one closest to go. You pull them away to make room for this guy.
But your
When you
involvement
watch
in
the
that
clip,
in that sequence doesn't stop.
Doesn't end there.
Fair
That's the
point.
point I'm
No,
making.
but if he checks, okay, so if he pulls the defender away and he checks back, you're going to fill the space again,
No,
which means Bellingham doesn't have to come.
no, he doesn't. He takes him
Because
away.
if
I'm coming.
Yeah.
He takes him away. Bellingham goes. He comes this way.
Now I'm thinking if you're taking him, you run around the defender. So
Yes.
if
So
it's
it depends
central-
on the movement.
if it takes him away, and you see, and what happened was again, I remember that game vividly because what happened was Vinicius Junior is already dangerous. So Vini is already occupying like two others, and a midfielder is keeping an eye on Vini. The right back is keeping an eye on Vini, and then Mbappe brings the centre back, and then there's that
There's
space.
space.
Now the problem with Mbappe having to run around the defender and go back is once he brings the centre back close to where Vini is, the space for him to run around is crowded unless he goes back through where Bellingham is going.
You do this. You do this. You do this. You do this.
He has to go
Bellingham
back
Goes,
through the middle.
yeah, he comes back this way. Bellingham goes this. When you do this, he comes. Then you do this.
Also, when
And
you
that keeps you
when
within
you
the
make
zone.
when
You
you
don't-
make that return run,
Yeah.
the defender is always behind you.
Yes, that's the point I'm making.
right.
Okay,
When you
maybe
make
I'm not
that-
getting the
When you,
picture, but
when you make, you see, when he
I-
pulls him away this way,
yes.
the Bellingham face, you don't go this way. You come this way because Vinicius is coming.
Yeah, but I
this
think
way.
Sicho's point is that it looks like an effort that will take way too much time.
So,
By
so,
which
so,
time the
you
pass-
see, so I'm thinking that
You see-
unless because if Bellingham if the pass goes overhead and Bellingham is chasing it, even if you make the run behind Bellingham, I'm not sure.
What
how.
ball are you waiting for?
Thank
No.
you. I'm not
see,
sure
he-
how.
Or what
his
ball are you
runs-
anticipating?
His runs, maybe that's what Thierry criticized.
Mm.
His runs were not supposed to be behind Bellingham. His runs, first movement was to create space for Bellingham.
Mhm.
Then his second movement takes him out of the path of Vinicius genius tactically. When you do this, you come and Vinny.
Well, coach might have a point because every time that first round was made, Bellingham never got the ball.
He never got
Because
the
of
ball.
the poor quality of the passes.
Yes.
So there's
So
that.
then-
There's that.
So
No, the
then
pass was
if
never
he's
even
gone
made.
and come, if the ball didn't
Yeah,
reach
some of them
the
too
ball-
were never
Some of
made.
them were never made. He just made the runs and they were never made. And that's why coach's point might be valid. In that maybe there was a second, a third run involved that could still have
That
made
could
the
have
ball
saved-
more
made the
valuable
ball stay more.
if
But
the
when you
first
go to
pass
stops,
wasn't made. So I kind of get that. But bottom line, I think the agreement, the consensus is that Mbappe is struggling and must do more. That he's partly responsible for what's happening
Yeah, exactly.
to him at the moment. He may not be the only reason why he's struggling. The team has issue. I think Sicho made that point that the injuries here and there, the team not performing is also magnifying.
So many players out of form.
Yes, and exactly. And so that's all magnifying his current situation. However, there are things he can do to help himself. And at the moment, he's simply not doing them. And that is getting more involved in the play and taking more of the chances that come his way. these two things in particular are things within his control. And it's simply because despite the team's poor form, he's still getting, as coach said, some very good
chances
quality chances that he should be scoring. But for some reason, ordinarily, they are all goals he should be scoring. But for some reason, he just can't get to score them. But hopefully, you come around. I don't know about you or what you think about why Kylian Mbappe is struggling. Let's know in the comments. Let's talk about another team struggling. And if you say Kylian Mbappe and Real Madrid are struggling, then find me another word for Man City, please. Because if we use the word struggling for Real Madrid, then I need another word for Manchester City. Because struggling cannot be it.
They are in crisis.
They are.
Thank you.
The fact of the matter
They've gone past crisis point.
They've gone past crisis.
The fact of the matter is, they are in crisis. We all can see that the manager is being stubborn because he's never experienced anything of this in his whole entire coaching career. And he still believes that the best way to get them out of the crisis is to still do the things they are used to do. There are times where, because of the prevailing situation, let's do things a bit different. When we steady the ship, then we'll come back to our usual self and keep pushing. Why am I saying so? Pep is so stubborn. There are times the lack of respect for his opponents, I believe, was what caused them in midweek. You don't lead final 3-0 with 14 minutes to go. If they're leading Real Madrid 3-0 with 14 minutes to go, would they still be persistent to score more goals? Or they would have acknowledged the fact that they've got something decent to protect, and therefore they would have taken the steam out of the game like they normally do at times.
Yeah.
I put that, I use the word disgrace and embarrassment, solely at the doorstep of Pep Guardiola. What was the tactical instruction to the team? You've not won your last 5 games. You've never been in that position in the last 5 games. You found yourself comfortably leading 3-0 with 14 minutes to go.
Mm-hmm.
It's a proper way of bringing back that winning mentality. This is what I would have done. I would have told them 3-0 is a decent scoreline. Everybody, take the steam out of the game and let's play it through, delay the time, and then see the match through. But rather, go watch the game. At 3-0, they were still coming at final as if they wanted to score 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
On top of that, he also made 3 substitutions.
Yes. And what was those 3 substitutions?
Simpson, Pussy, came in. McCarthy came
Highly
in.
inexperienced.
Kevin De Bruyne came in.
So when you brought
Simpson,
Pussy.
no. Coach,
How do you
relax.
pronounce that? Pussy. What's the...
Calm down.
You mentioned the name.
Calm down.
Simpson
Calm
Pussy.
down.
How do you pronounce that?
Simpson, Pussy.
What is the difference between that and what I'm saying? Simpson Pussy, meaning.
Okay. Simpson. I thought it's just Simpson.
You see, your notion is highly infectious. Your notion is highly infectious. One would have thought that when you brought that very inexperienced defender on, what stood? Calm everybody.
And the space in Pussy was too big.
That's what I'm saying. And that is the manager's
What do you mean the
instruction.
space in Pussy was too big? Pussy,
How can a human being
how
have
can it
space?
be? How can it be a space in? How can it be a space in Pussy?
The space in that Pussy came and gave final.
Which is very abnormal.
It was too wide.
When they talk about pussy, it's supposed to be tight. So what is this one? Hey, we are doing the show. What is that?
Today,
You tell him to stop this game here.
we have been serious until now.
What is that?
Today we have been serious.
Wait. Is that the space?
It's normally tight, compact,
But this Simpson Pussy.
extremely beyond elastic limit. So, stop misbehaving. So, Fred.
Oh God.
This one, the case not here. He would have
Go
taken it to the next level.
Go on.
So the point I'm making is that, look,
Oh, God.
Man City got undone by their manager.
You know Pep's philosophy.
Scored
He says when you said that when things aren't working, he's supposed to do what? Tweak a little bit. Pep's philosophy is this. He says, when plan A does not work, you don't move to plan B. He says, when plan A does not work, make plan A better.
This time, plan A had worked, but he needed to take the steam out of plan A. I'm not sure if they had withdrawn a little bit, put men behind the ball, technically.
And even conserve energy because of the weekend's game.
For the weekend, technically, tactically, I don't see this final team.
No, they should not have come back.
If Man,
Look, it was unforgivable.
If Man City had stayed compact, they don't weave through Man City at all. They don't have the quality to do that.
But to be fair too, the mistakes were schoolboy. Coach,
Yeah,
seriously.
I understand there was the Guardiola mistake, but again, if you take that out, the other two goals were completely tactical giveaways. There are no mistakes. You can highlight the lack of compactness within their structure, and that is coaching. We'll be saying that if there was any other coach. So once it's Pep Guardiola, we should tell him in his face.
Was it the second goal that was a near post?
Yes, I think the one they put. What annoyed me was the last goal. Look at where Ederson was.
Yeah.
Look at
Ederson was all over the place in this match.
And I was asking myself, where were the centre backs? Where were the entire back line? Non-existent. That is coaching.
The third goal was the one he missed the header.
Was that no?
He wants to challenge for the
He
header.
went to challenge for the header and they missed the header. That's
Oh,
like
God.
if he had just pulled them back, because at that time it was 3-2.
Yeah.
So you could clearly see that the momentum had what? Switched in favor of final.
Final suddenly were possessed.
They were possessed and they were coming. They didn't look.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
knew that if Man City had beaten them 4-0, 5-0, that would have been expected.
This is like a crocodile biting you and
Rather-
you bleeding in the water.
Exactly.
They can sense.
Rather, the news is that Man City threw away a 3-0 because they allowed it.
Yeah.
And for me, I saw pictures of Pep Guardiola.
And his nose and his lip.
nose.
He says,
Very
you know,
red.
he forced, do you know what he said
Look,
after?
I would have slapped his if I was sitting behind him. I would have said, come on, coach, the team will stop misbehaving. I would have slapped
Actually,
his
that thing-
pum-pum.
I suspect he got physical with someone. Because
Because there was also a bleeding
Pep
on the lip.
scratches his
It wasn't just
No,
the head and the
he had
nose.
a busted lip,
That's what,
a cut on his nose, and several bruises on his head. Pep scratches his head all the time, but we've never seen
that
The
that
red
level
marks
of
and
Well,
red
you've
blood-
marks
never
and-
also seen him scratch his head with this son of Rand
Oh,
before.
come on.
Yes,
Maybe the scratching can get more
maybe,
intense with the result.
maybe.
And the busted lip.
Yes,
Maybe.
he said he feels like hurting himself. You know, he later
Yes.
released a
He
statement
literally
that
because
he
couldn't
didn't
believe it.
intend to make light of people who are going through self-harm and depression and all those things. And he even put out a number for people who are going through depression and I feel like hurting themselves.
That one
They
is City's lawyers who forced him
They
to
should
write-
call-
to write that.
They should call that number and
You see?
seek for help.
But
He's-
all those things could have been.
But the guy, are you
avoided.
sure he's okay?
No, he's very okay. He's just a stubborn nigger. He's very stubborn. And there are times he needs to look at the practical aspect of the game. You see, he's too experienced not to understand the trend. At that time, there was a certain wind blowing, and it was blowing in the direction of what Man City. So he needed to repel. He needed to find a wall to hit the wind backwards towards final. And
He
that
failed.
he could have done by tactically getting, because these players are already low in belief. They are already low in confidence.
Yeah.
Now, on Sunday, it's going to get even worse.
Against Liverpool.
It's going to get, because they needed this game to go into the Liverpool game having a certain confidence level. They took a 3-0 lead. This manager, in my view, should have seen that they've lost 5 games on the row. Liverpool is ahead of them in 3 days' time. What a way to go into that game. Let your players restore what we all know to be their proper DNA. They are used to winning. They are not used to losing football games. But in the last 6 games, they've only gotten what? A draw.
1 point.
And if you look at the manner in which they drew the game,
That's even more disappointed than defeat.
even more
Because Man City had lost this game from the start. I mean, I'm not
I
sure
mean,
would
would
have
have
happened.
accepted that.
Yeah.
But with 40 minutes,
3-0,
to
that's
go,
that
so
hurts.
look, he's tactically to be blamed for it. That is my
Can they? This is a deep hole they find themselves in. Look, there are people who don't understand how and why this is happening. And there are those that wonder how they get themselves out of it. So that's 2 questions. Maybe you take one, actually takes one. Like, the first question is, how did City get themselves into this mess? Like, what's happening? And the other question is, is Pep that,
How
like,
they get
can
out of
he,
this?
yes, how do they
I'll
get
leave
out?
that. I'll leave
Fence.
that for Situ.
You can share opinion on both. I'm just okay. Go on. You go on.
They're tired. Pep
So
is
it's
tired.
in as fatigue.
Pep is tired. He is the brains of the operation. He's the most important aspect of the entire project,
Mhm.
from recruitment to whatever. Even when he doesn't agree with the signing, he makes it work. If he doesn't agree and he wants to use someone else, and so that's how come in the period when they've signed Matthias Nunes and co, and he's not necessarily focused on building a team around those boys, it has worked. When he needed to phase out Vincent Kompany, when he had to phase out Fernandinho, he always found a way to move the team on and to keep the team competitive, keep the team motivated, always found a way of reinventing himself and improving the methods that he was coaching with, and even adjusting, tweaking them to fix the new set of players that he had to work with. So for all intents and purposes, Pep is the most important aspect of this. And my feeling is this. After 8 years, next season is going to be his 10th season, right, in the Premier League. And that would be approaching, 10 years. Because he came in
2015, 16.
Yes. So next season, 2025-26 is going to be his 10th season. He's a human being. At some point, and you see that the thing about coaching and what people like Pep do is that the principles are the same. Yeah, Pep went through a phase when he left Bayern that he had to adjust, because the current iteration of Manchester City and Pep Guardiola tactics is not the same as Pep from 2009. He's gone through multiple evolutions, but still, even that takes its toll on you, right? So, but the basic principles with which he coaches, with which his teams play, are the same. He just finds new ways of implementing those tactics. And for how long can you keep preaching the same principles and message to your players? At some point, you will be fatigued. I mean, the economists will tell you that diminishing returns will set in. It is the natural order of human nature.
Yeah.
So that happens. If it happens to the manager, it affects the players too. Now, you may say that it is not the same players from year 1 till now, but it is the same environment. The bulk of those players are still there, right? At least about 70% of this group have been around for not less than 4 years. And if you look at City, every year they've pushed themselves to go one better than what they previously did, especially because of how long it took them to win the Champions League.
So you think at that point, even motivation-wise, it might have
Look,
dipped?
at some point, because what else is there for Pep Guardiola to achieve again? And that is not to say that he's finished as a manager. I'm just saying that the energy,
He needs a new
the fuel-
challenge, maybe.
the fuel in the tank is running out. As to where and how he's going to refuel and find the motivation again to find, because look, yes, Rodri is a big miss, but Rodri's absence is not the reason they've lost 5 consecutive games.
When was the last time Kevin De Bruyne
Spain-
had a key role in a Man City
Spain are
season?
winning their games.
Exactly. And you see, even for Kevin De Bruyne, I have a theory that De Bruyne is important to get City close. But when they get to the cusp of glory, he always is the guy who doesn't show up. And you can think of all the major seasons, especially from February, right? From February, April. He has a knack for picking some strange injuries in the major cup finals and the big games that City play. So as for him, he's important, but I don't think his absence is part of the reasons. Look, what City are going through is extraordinary. It is not something you can reduce to the absence of one player. City
or
replaced
even one factor.
No.
Because I read a stat somewhere that Man City have favored the oldest player, the oldest squad in the Premier League this season. In fact, Man City is the team that has given minutes that has given the most minutes to players aged 29 and over.
Look,
and that is speaks to what's happening to their squad. That they also have an aging squad that they have not been able to refurbish or replenish in a bit and the young players that are coming through are simply not good enough. Like Simpson, Hussein, or McCarthy,
but you see, even with the issue of players, I don't think any City or any analysis around a Pep Guardiola team should focus too much on the players. Not since the Messi.
Surely, if you have a player like,
but
also if you have a player like Erling Haaland, he has underperformed the most XG this season. You have to have a conversation about him.
Of course, he's been poor. I mean,
he's missing sitters.
He could. I think he should have, not could have. He should have had a hat trick over the weekend.
Exactly.
There's no explanation for the chance he missed. But I'm just saying that not since Messi should we have a conversation about any Pep team that should center on the players. That Barca generation is the only exception. For every other team that Pep coached, he made the team. Right? He made the team play the way they did. And so for me, it all circles down to, and you see, the issue about motivation and drive and inspiration and enthusiasm and all of that, it is at the heart of the way his teams play. Yesterday, when Liverpool lost possession, they won it back in rapid time. That is how Pep, and even there was a time Pep's teams were playing with a 6-second rule. That when they lose possession, they have to win it back in under 6 seconds.
Yeah.
Right? If you are not fit, and if you don't have the desire, if you don't have that match sharpness, if you don't have that enthusiasm, if you're like Mbappe, you can't play that football. Right?
And you think City have too many of those players?
No, I'm just saying that now they are not in the condition and the right frame of mind even to execute that.
So both physical and mental.
Yes. So when you break it down and you start talking about tactics, you will still trace it to that because you have to explain why teams are easily playing through City's press. It means the pressing is no longer as good as it was. Mm-hmm. Look, I don't think teams have become smarter at playing through City's counter press. I don't think so. Because if those teams have supposedly become better, it should reflect in how they face other teams as well. Right? It should reflect, maybe not necessarily, and the excuse is going to be that, but other teams don't play like City. But if your coach have developed to the point where they can, on a regular basis, find the solutions to beat Pep's teams, then they ask for the other teams, they should be able to find the tactical solutions as well.
That's a fair
So
point.
for me, I think that's the heart of the matter for them.
Sijo, where do you want to take it from? How did they dig themselves out of this? Or more explanation for why they're struggling?
I could do both. Look, I think City's problem is, again, it's also something Madrid also got wrong. Over the summer, City had a terrible summer in terms of the squad coming to the season.
Right.
I thought they should have brought in some players for certain positions. They didn't do that. They lost Julian Alvarez to Atletico Madrid. They signed Calvin Phillips for a reason. For 2 seasons, it didn't work. But Rodri was fit for those 2 seasons. But that is 2 years on for Rodri. So you know that, and Rodri himself has started complaining about playing too many games. So you just knew,
he was one of the more vocal voices.
You just knew you had to think about how to rest him.
The Matheus Nunes bit as well.
Matheus Nunes comes in, but it's a different kind of player. He can do a job, but Pep's style and the way he played didn't give the boy opportunity of growing in the team. So his progress in the team had stalled. So City coming into the season should have straight away realized, as we speak, City do not have a natural left back, and that is the club decision that they can have Jasko Vardiol and Nathan Ake play there. But the problem with that is when these centre backs are younger, it's easier to manage. And if the 2 centre backs around the wide centre backs are also younger and quick enough, it is easier to deal with. And when you mention that stat of starting players over 29, look, and Nacho mentioned this City team, most of the players have been here for 4 years and more. if you look at 4 years, 5 years ago for this Man City group of players, they've almost always played the last games of every season with something dependent on it.
Right.
So they've gone to Champions League finals. They've gone to cup finals.
Mhm.
League Cups.
Cup finals. Yeah, some of the league final
There was
days have
actually
meant.
Didn't they win Carabao like 4 years in a row or something like that?
Yes, they were in the FA Cup. They were in the FA Cup final last year. They were in the FA Cup final 2 years ago. Some of the last Premier League games have meant like a must-win game for the team. They need to.
So averagely, City players have played more games than any other team in the Premier League.
So this team, they've been really stretched.
Yeah.
They've been stretched. And that is where someone like the great Sir Alex Ferguson quickly realized that he has to start rebuilding the team in a way before it becomes a disaster. A player like Kevin De Bruyne, he's talented, he's brilliant. But when you've got him in your team, you lose something to the press now.
Mm-hmm.
A player like Bernardo Silva, as good as his pressing is, he's a bit slower. He's not the fastest player on the pitch.
Mm-hmm.
But this season, he's even gone slower.
Mm-hmm.
Phil Foden had his injury problem, didn't start the season, hasn't looked sharp on and off the ball. Jack Grealish hasn't looked sharp on and off the ball. And there are so many players who have played.
Hey. Mention the biggest culprit.
Who?
Kyle Walker. You've not seen him.
No, as for Kylie,
He's an old
you
man.
see,
No, he's the one that is getting exposed the most in this run.
Kyle Walker, he's not getting any younger. Then there's Van
Yeah, but
Dijk.
against Spurs, it was worse.
But that was a Pep Guardiola problem. Against Pep, it was a Pep Guardiola problem. Against Pep, it was Pep who caused Kyle Walker. He caused it. 100% Pep. It wasn't Kyle Walker.
Yeah.
But that's another game. That's another tactic. So you have players now, and for City to be able to stop teams from getting through them with the ease, it is what I should mention. It's the reactionary time of reclaiming the ball, and that has to do with how soon you're able to arrive and how fast you're able to think about where to even start your pressing from.
Mm-hmm.
This City team,
And
they look like they don't have
Before
the
you
energy.
continue, it is always synchronized because if the first player makes that press, there's no guarantee he's going to stop the build-up.
Yeah.
So you rely on all the other parts to
Actually-
move at the
actually-
same time.
Back it.
Actually, like 98, I read the 98% of the first press doesn't win the ball.
No.
So-
Normally, it's
So
actually
you
made
move
to-
together.
You are cutting,
Yes,
you are
it's a
cutting the
bait.
pass lane and
Mhm.
setting it up. And we
Yes.
saw them when they played against Bayern Munich, the
Mhm.
Upamecano disaster.
Yeah.
They deliberately forced Bayern to play
Through Upamecano.
it like, So I look at this team and I look at a team that plays without the energy and the sharpness that is required to press and contain opponents. And once you're not able to do that and your back line is high, it doesn't matter how quick your defenders are, people will get in behind you. So I'm thinking Pep Guardiola, and he's stubborn, like Coach said, he will never go back to the basics. The basics would have been City must play 2 or 3 yards deeper
You see, 10 yards.
and build some. I still think they've got quality in the squad. They can manage it, but they need to step it back a little. Because when City have conceded goals, it's simply
To hide
because,
the deficiencies.
no, so that defensive, because they've conceded 17 goals in the last 6 games.
Against Spurs, Sa and Bissouma, they just bully Gundogan and that small.
Yeah. Rico Lewis.
They are not midfielders.
So City,
City didn't look like they had a midfield at
No,
all.
they don't have-
They should have,
midfield.
like he's saying,
So,
step in a bit.
they need
They
to go
don't,
back to
they
the basics. The
don't, they
basis
don't.
would be don't concede and trust your quality up front. One chance, one goal, something.
You are asking Pep to play on the counter.
Not necessarily on the counter,
Necessarily.
but
You
be more
said-
resolute at the back so they
Even,
can step
even
back.
for the midweek game,
Fred,
the final
what
15
he's
minutes would
asking
have
him
made
to
sense.
do
Yes.
is to admit that
That
there are issues.
they are struggling.
They are
You
struggling.
can't keep playing like
tweak it a bit.
City from last season when they have problems.
The very first day, Pep would adapt his tactics to be slightly deeper. Is the day the players stop trusting him.
No, hang on.
No,
When he played against Inter Milan in the Champions League final,
he did that.
in the last 15 minutes.
He did
In fact, in the whole of the first half, he was deeper.
No, City have done that in games where they have been. Hold on, I know what you mean. City haven't dominated every match.
Yes.
In fact, City have sat in games where people have come. But I'm saying that in the current run, with all the psychology around the team, the day he starts to go into games,
For a sustained period.
yes,
So
I'm
therefore,
telling you that Pep
so
is
fine,
finished.
so fine. Even when he's leading 3-0, he shouldn't do that.
No.
So when it comes to the game against Feyenoord, look, he was thinking about the game against Liverpool. He's taking off players, brought on some players.
Yes.
And that was even the justification why you talked about the liver. Then you come and be compact.
Because the game is done. Why don't you manage the game? And you see, the problem with this team...
that one was a big mistake.
The problem with this team also is they don't keep the ball as well as they used to. Too many players are losing the balls too early. And too many players are losing the balls in areas where the turnover, once the turnover there,
it's a huge gap.
It's a huge gap.
They're high up the pitch.
So I agree to a great extent that they miss the Rodri thing, but that is always tied to the poor squad planning from the summer.
Yes.
Because they desperately needed...
They just brought in Gundogan and Silvinho. Bad business.
Gundogan and Silvinho won't do the same job as...
Gundogan, and he doesn't look the same.
He doesn't...
But he's been required to do something he stopped doing about 8 years or 5 years ago.
He can't do that. And when in Gundogan's last 2 seasons or 3 seasons at City,
he wasn't that deep.
He was box crashing. He was one box crashing and scoring goals. He can give you some joy. So Pep has to realize that. But how they are going to dig themselves out of it, to be very honest, I don't know. Because
they are buried deep.
Because
it's about to get worse against Liverpool.
Yeah, I don't know because it's a Pep one. And he won't do what we think he should do.
Yeah.
Get the team to sit off a little, not sit back necessarily, sit off a little bit. And then secondly, because Pep's system and its principles are so automated and tailored to specific skill sets, which at the moment he doesn't have in his team, unless he's recoaching the team to do something else that we don't know, I don't see how they do it because Pep's football desperately needs a Rodri. Pep's football desperately needs a certain type of pressing. Pep's football desperately needs his back line to be high. And if all of this is going to happen at the same time without a Rodri, without sharp pressing, and still the high back line, I don't know how they are going to stop it. And that is why the next couple of weeks will teach us a lot more about how Pep can get himself out of this adversity because we've never seen him here before. So we don't have anything to lay back on and say, oh, Abaying happening did that or Bata happening did that. Only time is going to tell, but at the moment it's not looking great for him.
The only solution now is to stop the bleeding.
So first of all, stop conceding. Stop losing.
He can lie to himself that he's still the Pep of old. The reality is that he's not the same guy. He's lost something. He's lost a certain drive. And there's no shame in that. People like Ancelotti, the great Sir Alex Ferguson, still stayed relevant for decades because they kept going through phases where they reinvented themselves. Mm-hmm. And so there was a period where Fergie would not have entertained the idea of when Rooney walking into his office to say that I want out of the club, right? But he got to a point where he knew that he needed to manage certain characters. Like he needed to shift from his previous self. And it wasn't just an issue of man management. Sometimes even the tactics and how he sets up the team. If Pep thinks that they can still play the way, go to Anfield, line up the way they did versus, and let's see.
Fair enough. So I don't know about you guys, but
those are games that will that have to show him that Charlie something has to give.
Yeah. So Manchester City in a big the MLS season is over, right? They're in the cup final now, I believe. So maybe Sergi Busquets could cancel his contract at Inter Miami, become a free agent.
I think in January they should sign. They need to bring in somebody.
They can get Zubimendi.
Yeah.
Sorry?
They can get Zubimendi.
Yeah, they need to bring in somebody in January.
Zubimendi.
Zubimendi. Okay, yeah. So we'll see. Or Sergi Busquets. Anyway, so let's know. So we discussed 2 big problems: Kylian Mbappe and his Real Madrid, and then Pep Guardiola and his Manchester City. I don't know about you and what you think about why Man City are struggling. Let us know, or why Kylian Mbappe is struggling and Real Madrid are struggling. Let us know in the comments. Next Monday or next week, when we come back to record the pod, I will share some of the comments that you will put there with the rest of our viewers and listeners from all the platforms. So I really need a lot of comments. Because we are not football Einsteins, are we?
No.
We don't know everything. So please, let's know if you have thoughts on why you think they're struggling. Because right now, even when you listen to UK TV, but nobody knows why. Thank you. Pep does not know. So let us know what you think, what you suspect is why City are struggling,
did you
or why
finish?
Kylian Mbappe is struggling. But so that's that on this one. Of course, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you put that notification bell on, so when we upload new episodes, you'll be one of the first to see it. My name is Fentio. This is Coach Christopher Nimley at Chitama Klo, Sichofer Philip at Shreem. Mallam Go Podcast by Betway. Thanks for watching. Cheers.
Cheers.